Hello, everybody. You're listening to Mel Tiller's Extraordinary Way. I'm Mel Tiller, and I know something about you. I know that you are extraordinary, and I can prove it. This is the show where we focus on how to achieve extraordinary results and how to activate the extraordinary in you. Welcome to the show. This is a sensational show. We've got a lot of great things to talk about today. You're going to have a great time. I'm going to have a great time. Let's get started. There is a book that has just been released, and it was called West by West. Now, many of you will remember the name of Jerry West. All basketball fans, the legendary Jerry West, point guard for the LA Lakers. Fantastic player. And not only was he a Hall of Fame player, but then he became an executive, and he's now a Hall of Fame executive. Done some great things in the front office. Now, the reason I'm talking about this book is that he released this book, and he's doing the talk shows now, and he's talking about his lifelong battle with depression. Now, I really want you all to understand how big this guy is in the world of basketball. He's rich. He's famous. He's considered an all-time great basketball player, one of the greatest who's ever lived. He's considered one of the great executives who has ever lived. And yet, at the age of 70-something, he still deals with emotional pain. And so we ask ourselves, how is this? How is it that a guy who has achieved all of the success that he has achieved, has all the money that he has, how is it that he's still dealing with depression? He's still dealing with this obvious emotional pain? Because I'm going to tell you, I saw a few interviews, and every one of those interviews, they were tough. They were tough. You can still feel the pain that this guy is going through. He had some issues when he was a child. He was abused. He was physically abused. He was verbally abused. And that abuse still stays with him today. And he talks about the severity of it. He's in his 70s. This happened when he was a child. And you can tell that he still feels the devastating effect of those blows. And he talks about, at some point, seeing his father hit his sister with the handle of a hammer. Now, can you imagine it? I mean, what kind of father is going to hit his daughter with a hammer? And at that point, he just says that this is enough. And he tells his father that, I'm sleeping with a shotgun under my bed, and I know how to use it. And if you ever touch me again, I'll use it. Now imagine that. He's 11 or 12 years old, and he tells his father, if you ever touch me again, I will shoot you. And he was being interviewed by Brian Gumbel, and Brian says, now, Jerry, you really would not have done that. You really would not have shot him. You really wouldn't have hurt him. He looks at Brian and says, yes, I would have. He was not going to hit me again. I would have. And so Brian asked him how his father took that. And he said, well, he didn't touch me again. He said, but I slept every night with that shotgun under my bed. You all would not believe the number of people I work with in their 40s, 50s, 60s who are dealing with childhood issues. They're dealing with childhood issues, issues of abandonment, issues of mental abuse, issues of physical abuse. And the interesting thing is that among the people whom I work with, poverty really doesn't seem to be an overriding factor. You know, a lot of folks grew up poor and they didn't have certain things and so forth. But if their parents loved them, or if their grandma loved them, if there was somebody significant in their lives who loved them, they seem to be okay. It's all, you know, it's all right. But let me tell you, when daddy rejects them, it stays with them all their lives. Now, sometimes we can do some things to kind of adjust. I don't know if you ever fix it, but we can do some things to help people adjust and live with it. But when a mom or a dad rejects a child, I'm working with a lady now, and her mom gave her away. And she tells this story of being given away to another family in town. And she tells the story of how she saw her mother and her siblings in town, and how she was crying, and how she ran and was crying, saying, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home. And she tells this horrible story of grabbing her mother's leg and her mother turning away from her and just walking. And she's holding on to her mother's leg and dragging the child. And the child is begging to be taken home, begging to go home with mom, begging to go home with her brothers, begging to go home with her brothers and sisters. This woman is in her 50s. And every single week I talk to her, and the pain of her mother abandoning her and not loving her in the way that she thinks she should have been loved is still with her in her 50s. Love your children. Love your children. You make sure that your child knows that you love them, that you love her, that you love him. And I know that money issues, I know other issues that come up in child rearing. There's nothing more important than hugging your child and telling your child that you love them. Nothing. They can overcome everything else. When they become adults and so forth, and they want to go out and conquer the world, okay, they will do that. I work with a lot of people who came from humble beginnings, but they were able to go out and slay their dragons. But I'm going to tell you, you damage your child, and you will damage your child for life if you do not give them love. Doesn't matter how much success they achieve. This guy's on Prozac. Rich. I'm telling you once again, he's rich, he's famous. You would think that he has every single thing that a guy could want in life. Big house, beautiful wife, kids. He's still tears up at 70 years old, 70 plus. He still tears up when he thinks about how his father rejected him. I want you to know what you're doing. I want you to understand that impact. I want you to understand what you mean to your children. Love your children. You're listening to Mel Tiller's Extraordinary Way. I'm Mel Tiller, and if you'd like to reach me, then send me an email, mel@meltiller.com, MEL@MELTILLAR.com, or reach me on Facebook. I'm there at Mel Tiller. Our next segment, I'm going to start sharing the affirmation of the week. Now, I write an affirmation each day and I send it out to a select number of people. And if you would like for me to add you to that group, then contact me, as I said, at mel@meltiller.com, or contact me on Facebook, and I'll be more than happy to add you to the group. But I send this affirmation out every single day, typically between 6 and 7 a.m. in the morning, so that people who receive the affirmation can get the affirmation in the morning. They read it, they start their day off with something positive. Now, affirmation is written in the first person. My flagship concept is called the extraordinary way. And my concept says, I am extraordinary. I am extraordinary. And so each one of my affirmations ends with, I am extraordinary. This is so every single day. I want you to think about this now. Every single day you read this affirmation, you end with, I am extraordinary. And you're telling yourself every single day that you are extraordinary. It's a powerful piece. You're sending this message to your subconscious, and at some point your subconscious just agrees with you. It says, if you say we're extraordinary, then evidently we must be extraordinary. And all of a sudden you start seeing extraordinary things in your life. This is one of the major tools that we use to activate the extraordinary in you. So this week's affirmation: I experience optimal joy, fulfillment, and success by combining my gifts and my passion. I know it's my gift because I'm naturally very, very good at it. I know it's my passion because time simply melts away when I'm engaged. I'm blessed. I am extraordinary. Now, recently, Billy Blanks came to town. Now, some of you will recognize the name of Billy Blanks. Billy Blanks is the innovator of Tybo. And so he came to town and he spoke to a small audience after the workout, and he talked about the importance of working with your passion and with your gift. Now, I want you to think about that, and I want you to think about how profound that is. When you are working with your passion, it means that you're doing something that you really enjoy doing. It's a part of you. You can do it without even thinking about it. You just kind of have this, doing this just brings joy to you. You love it. And there's some people who are fortunate enough to be working with their passion. Now, I had a young lady, and her passion was music. And she joined the Marine Corps band, and she was a flute player. And she tried to play flute, and she was a good kid, and she was just wonderful. But she didn't have any talent. She just didn't have any talent. I could see how hard she tried. She was such a wonderful young lady, and I had to tell her, look, find something else. You will never be great at this. Good, okay, maybe, but she worked so hard. But it wasn't her gift. It was her passion, but it wasn't her gift. It wasn't her gift. And I knew another guy. He was a doctor, and he was very talented. Very, 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 very talented doctor, but he had no joy. No joy in what he was doing. No joy in helping the patients. No joy in touching the patients. No joy in curing the diseases. He was talented. He was good. Yes, 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 but absolutely no joy. And then I know a few very, very lucky people who are not only talented and not only gifted, but they're passionate about what they do. Now, these people get up every single day and they're happy. I know a guy, he's a painter. He paints the inside of houses, not the outside, but he paints the inside of houses. And I bought this house, and they were doing some work and kind of finishing up, and I walked in and I saw him. I walked in and I saw him, and I just looked at him for a while before he recognized that I was there, and I probably just kind of looked at him for about 10 seconds or so, and he noticed that I was there, and we started to speak, and so I said, it seems like you enjoy your work, because he was standing back and he was admiring what he'd done. I want you to get this, a painter, and he's admiring what he's done. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I've been doing this for 18 years, 18 years. He said, you know, you got to be able to take black paint and white paint and put it side by side. And they got to look like they're touching. They can't touch, but they got to look like they're touching. Oh, yeah, I've been doing this for 18 years. This was a man who was happy. He loved painting houses, and man, was he good at it. You would have thought if you saw him, you saw his body English, the expression on his face, you would have thought that he just painted a Picasso. And that's how he felt about his work. And he was in huge demand. People loved the work that he did. He was sensational. He was working with his passion and with his gift. You pass that on to your children. You pass that on to your kids. When you talk to your kids about what they're going to do in life, don't talk to them about money, because the money will come. But this is the greatest gift that you can give them. Identify your talent, identify your passion, and do something that combines your passion and your gift, and you will be a happy woman. You will live a happy life. That's what you encourage them to do. Work in your passion, work with your gift. And if it's time for a career change, make that career change. But work with your God-given talents. Work with your passion. Work with the things that you were given. Work with those things that you absolutely love, and you will find happiness. Think about that. Every single day you get up and you're doing something you're passionate about. Every single day you get up, you're doing something that you're really, really, really good at. That's the definition of happiness. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing. You're listening to Mel Tiller's Extraordinary Way. I'm Mel Tiller. If you would like for me to speak at one of your events, if you would like to work with me in one-on-one coaching, send me an email, mel@meltiller.com, mel@tillar.com, or you can reach me on the Facebook. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for all of the Facebook messages that I'm getting. Thank you for all of the emails that I'm getting. I'd love to hear from you. And so if you'd like to express any of your ideas, you have show ideas, let me know. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. Why? Because this is your show, and we are activating the extraordinary in you. And now we're going to continue with our series. We're going to talk about your mastermind alliance. When we've talked about why your team, your mastermind alliance is so important, let's talk a little bit more about what you need to do in order to make that mastermind alliance as great as it possibly can be. Now, you need to set a time and place for your mastermind alliance, your personal team to meet. You've got to think of this as a living, breathing organism. It's alive. And you want this new life to be passionate. You want it to be fired up because you have things to do and you want this organism to accomplish some things. You want it to get some things done because at the end of the day, what is it that we say? He did this. She did that. What is it that this mastermind alliance is going to achieve? You want this mastermind alliance to get some momentum, to be active. You want it to have measurable goals. And so in order to do that, it has to meet, and it has to meet regularly. It has to meet often, and it has to have a place to meet. Now let's talk about how do you maintain this mastermind alliance. You put it together. You like the people. You like your goals. You have a great start. How do you maintain the mastermind alliance? Well, the first thing that you need to realize is that the responsibility for maintaining this alliance is yours. You put it together. You are the leader. In order for this to be preserved, like any organization, like any team, it takes diligent work. It takes diligent work, and the leader is responsible. Now, there are 4 areas that you must concentrate on. First of all, confidence. You're the leader. You're in charge. This is your mastermind alliance, your group. So we're all together now. And the first thing I want to know as a team member is, how are we going to win, Coach? How are we going to win? Because let's understand something. Nobody wants to be on a team that isn't winning. So you have to explain. You have to convince this team that you know how to win. That is your responsibility. You have to instill confidence in this team. How are we going to do that? There has to be a faithfulness to duty, loyalty to obligations, and they're going to watch you. They're going to be as loyal as you are. They're going to be as faithful as you are. Nobody on that team is going to be more loyal than you. Nobody on that team is going to be more faithful than you. Nobody on that team is going to work harder than you. You must lead by example. That is how you will inspire them. They will watch to see what your dedication to your major goal is, your major worthy goal. They're going to see how dedicated you are. They're going to take their cue from you. So you must instill confidence in them by letting them know how much confidence you have in the goal, how much confidence you have in the plan, and then how much confidence you have in them as a team and how much confidence you have in them as individuals. Then, number 2, there must be understanding. Understanding. They have to get the nature of what they're doing. They have to understand the essence of what they're doing. My partner in this endeavor is Wardell Brantley, and I was talking to Wardell. We we have another young lady whom we're working with, and she is helping us with some marketing. And we talk and we say, you know, boy, it's really amazing that you can tell when somebody has a certain degree of expertise, because she'll come in and she'll take a look at some of the things that we put together. And we said, okay, what is it that you need to sell this? What is it that you need to market this? And she looks at it, and within seconds, she would say, well, I would do this, and I would do that, and I would do this. And we look at each other and say, wow. Now, I want you to understand, he is great producer, great behind the scenes, all of that sort of stuff, really smart guy. He and I look at each other and say, why didn't we see that? Why didn't we see that? She understands the nuances of the game of marketing. And when we talk about marketing, he and I shut up. We sit down and say, okay, yes, ma'am. Why? Because she understands the nuances of the game. So the people on your team have to understand the nuances of the game. So in a situation like this, the person who is in front of the mic needs to understand the nuances of the content, of the presentation, of what's being said, how it's being delivered. The production guy has to understand the nuances of the production. He has to understand what mics to use. He has to understand what speakers to use, all of those sorts of things. And then the marketing person has to understand the nuances of marketing. And all of us have to understand the nuances of what we're doing and what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go. That's what you need on a great team. They have to understand the nuances of the game. Number 3, you have to focus on fairness and justice. Fairness and justice. There's a division of work. What are the roles? You take care of this, you take care of that, I'm going to take care of this. There's a division of benefits and profits. You're going to make this, you're going to make that, I'm going to make this. Make sure that everybody's comfortable with that. I was working with a multimillionaire one time, and he was telling me, he said, Mel, he said, as much money as I have today, I'd have 10 times more money if people at the table with the deals that I was working on, if they weren't counting each other's money. I can't tell you how much money we've lost because one guy says, well, okay, how much are you getting? Wait a minute. That's not the question. The question is how much do we agree upon that you were going to get? Are you getting that? Yes, I'm getting that, but I want to know how much he's getting. And when he finds out how much he's getting, now he wants to kill the whole deal. Mind you, 2 days ago, if you told him that he'd be getting that kind of money, he would have been ecstatic. But now he's got to kill the deal because he's upset that he's not getting as much as somebody else. Understand the division of benefits and the division of profits. Everybody has their own role. Be ethical. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Why? Because your teammates will not function if that kind of stuff is going on. And then, number 4, you have to have courage. You have to face your difficulties with valor. You have to face them with firmness. You have to face them with confidence and with a success consciousness, because you are going to face difficult times. You are going to face challenges. The question is, how is the team going to deal with those challenges? You've been listening to Mel Tiller's Extraordinary Way. And if you'd like to contact me, you'd like for me to speak at your event, if you'd like to coach with me one-on-one, then contact me at Mel, M-E-L, at meltiller.com. That's M-E-L-T-I-L-L-A-R team.wmv.com. Or you can reach me on the Facebook. I'd love to hear from you. Love all of your comments. Please let me know what you want to talk about. Tell me what's going on in your life, and we'll talk about it on your show. I know that you are extraordinary, and so do you. This week, go out and prove it. Make it an extraordinary week. Bye-bye, everybody.